this is a narrative of a true story of the history of the Igbo Hebrews. The Igbo Hebrews, an ancient tribe, the most ancient tribe, the oldest and the most ancient tribe that ever lived on the surface of the planet. The Igbo Hebrews are predominantly in the African state, and they live predominantly in the west coast of Africa. The Igbo Hebrews are scattered all over the world. They are among the lost 10 tribes of Judah. And they are so ancient, and they are older than the Holy Bible and the rest of many other tribes around the world. When the Lord Almighty Elohim ordered the children of Israel to go forth and dwell and take for the promised land, it was Africa that the Igbo Hebrews headed to, which was the promised land, while the rest of the other tribes scattered all over the world. The Igbo Hebrew ancient forefather, his name is called Gad. He is one of the sons of Jacob, of Judah. His children are also scattered all over the world in different places and different spaces. And they have also arisen to have made up some other multiple ethnic groups and tribes around the world, for which most of those groups and tribes do not realize and remember or know that their bloodline are the Igbo Hebrews. The Igbo Hebrews encompass a large part of West Africa, predominantly in the country of Biafra, and also a country which was an official boundary country that was named in the 60s called Nigeria, basically called the Niger area. That name was given to it by a British woman called Flora Shaw, which was a name adopted by the local indigenous people. The Igbo Hebrews are the most aboriginal and the most ancient tribe that ever lived on that land, which encompasses up to the land of the Kanuris, Equatorial Guinea, South Tome and Princepe, and so many other African and West African landmarks, both in the south, in the east, and in the north. Just like the northern of Africa was inhabited by the Arabians, Arab people who migrated from the Arab world into North Africa. Igbo Hebrews, as a matter of their ancient long life and the tradition, they have all been living in those parts of the land far before the other tribes were migrated. In the west coast of Africa, the Igbo Hebrews were predominantly within those areas, and the other tribes also came and made them on those land. In the west of the country called Nigeria, the official country called Nigeria, the Igbo Hebrews were living on that land many centuries and millions of years before another tribe called the Yoruba tribe migrated onto that land, hailing from a country called Dahomey, a nation of Dahomey of Noble, which is today the present day Benin Republic in West Africa. The Yoruba tribe are a tribe that came from Benin Republic and the Togo. their first early forefather, his name is called Oduduwa. He came onto the land of Igbo Hebrew. The first land, or the first place he met the land was called Ife. Ife is an aboriginal Igbo Hebrew land, but its name Ife. Ife is an aboriginal Igbo Hebrew name that is also a root name for most Igbo Hebrew families. Also, Ife is an aboriginal Igbo Hebrew name. That is where a lot of Igbo families derive their names, such as Ife Yunwa, Ifeoma, Ife Sinachi, Ifeanyi Chukwu, and so on and so forth. But Oduduwa, when he and his family and his other tribesmen came onto the land, they were running away from a situation whereby there was a series of people who were murdered by him and his clan members over a land dispute in the land of the Dahomey, and they were driven away, and he sought refuge on the land of the Igbo Hebrews in Ife. The aboriginal ancient forefather of Ife was an Igbo Hebrew man and his clan called the Obatala family. The Obatala family, or the Obatala clan, were the aboriginal custodians of the land in the west. And the Obatala, as a matter of fact, his bloodline and lineage goes all the way to the Ikodomu people of the west, also, who are predominantly the leftover children or the remnants of Obatala families that are living in the enclaves of the Benin, former Bendo states and environ. However, Oduduwa and his family conspired against Obatala. They murdered him and also took a lot of his family of clan members and used them for human sacrifice and rituals, to the extent that a lot of the Obatala clan members were run away, and some of them scattered all over the west, and to the extent that some of them lost their root as well, and some of them were also adopted by the Yorubas as Yoruba families. As a matter of fact, the Oduduwa and his children continued their conquest and their land grab and takeover of the west, and eventually took a lot of land of the Obatalas in the west to themselves up to this day. They also confiscated the culture and the festival of the Obatala clan, the Igbo Hebrew Obatala clan, to themselves. The festival they call the festival of fortune, the festival of richness, the festival of greatness, was confiscated by the Yorubas as their own from the Obatala clan. And also Obatala, they also confiscated his heritage and make him like a deity of the Yorubas. Apparently, the history of the Yorubas onto the land of the Igbo Hebrews went far back, many years ago, and as a matter of fact, how the land in the west that the Yorubas occupy today were the aboriginal land of the Igbo Hebrews, and the rest of their bloodlines on the whole enclave of Biafra Land. In the north, the Igbo Hebrews were the first and the most ancient peoples that ever occupied those areas. The Hausas and the Fulanis came onto the land from different parts of North Africa. Most of them were former Arab tribes that migrated into Africa from the Arab world. land of Yemen, Algeria, the land of Saudi Arabia, and the rest of them, most of them migrated from there and occupied the land of Africa. And from the north of Africa, they continued to migrate westwards and southwards. As of today, the Hausas, the Fulanis, and the Kanuris are predominantly indigenous tribes of the Chad Republic, Niger Republic, Yemen, Mali, Guinea, and so many other tribes of North Africa, as well as Northern Sudan. The Igbo Hebrews were the ancient and the most indigenous people, the aboriginals of the land, of the entire land that all these other tribes have come in and occupied. Even in the south, the Igbo Hebrews were first on the land before the tribes called the Bibios came onto the land from the Cameroons. The Bibios were an original Bantu tribe of South Africa, and the Igbo Hebrews welcomed them onto that land at the point of the village called Arochukwu. The king of Arochukwu was the first king of Igbo Hebrew land that welcomed the first wave of the Ibibios onto the land and gave them a portion of the land to stay, from where they also expanded onto the present land where they occupy in the whole of the southeast, in Calabar, in the areas of Akwa Ibom and so forth, as well as the tribes called the Ijo tribes were also migrant tribes, so that came into Igbo Hebrew from some part of the Ghanaian tribes. And also the Igbo Hebrew forefathers gave them the land that they occupy in the area today they call the Biafras, or the river areas and the coastal areas, just because these families were more like fishermen back in the day, and they loved to stay in the coastal areas for the fishing strength and fishing skills that they have. And ever since then, the Igbo Hebrews, being the forefathers of the land, never drove any of these families away, but accommodated them to have them as it is, has been they're the custodians of the land, and they have been given the rights and also the privilege by Elohim to guide the people and guide the land. And as such, the Igbo Hebrews have imminently, for centuries, have been investing on the land and on the people, and also have never invaded the people, now have occupied the people or dominated the people, because it is against their heritage and their the rule that was given to them by Elohim, never to occupy the people, but to replenish the people and nourish the people. So many other tribes have come from so many other parts of Africa onto the land, both in the Benways and the northern parts of Africa, northern parts of Nigeria. The Igbo Hebrews have a lineage and the bloodlines among the Ibibios, but they have bloodlines among the Ijos, they have bloodlines among the Ishekiris, the Asians, the Yorubas, the Idomas, the Galas, and so many other tribes within Southwest Africa, Southwest Nigeria, and also the other tribes within South Africa and North Africa, and also East Africa and West Africa. There are so many Igbo Hebrew bloodlines that are scattered all over the place. The Hebrews, it is their God-given right to occupy the promised land. As a matter of fact, it has become very apparent that for over the years, the Igbo Hebrews have come under serious attack and serious conspiracies, among which the tribes of the Yorubas, the Hausas, the Fulanis, and the Kanuris have all conspired against the Igbo Hebrews, against their own bloodlines. and have also conspired to take all the resources and the land of the Igbo Hebrews in whatever manner they wish. This conspiracy was part of the reason why the tribal war of 1967 to 1970 occurred. The tribal war was imposed onto the Igbo Hebrews by these other tribes who eminently were on the verge of taking all that belongs to the Igbo Hebrews and put them into destitution. Many of the Igbo Hebrew tribesmen and the families have been forced out of the enclave, out of the nation, into foreign lands all over the whole world. They have more Igbo Hebrew refugees outside the whole world than those who are in the land of Biafra. This as a result of the systematic and continued conspiracy to siphon them out of the land and siphon them out of the other natural resources that was endowed to them and was given to them by Elohim. As a matter of fact, all the bloodlines of the Igbo Hebrews, such as the Ijos, the Ibibios, and the Gonis and the other and the Shekiris and other people around them have been brainwashed and they've also been poisoned to hate their own bloodline. This has been ongoing in the Nigerian politics, which is a conspiracy by the Yorubas, the Hausas, and the Fulanis and the Kanuris against the Igbo Hebrews. The Igbo Hebrews were the ones who have built a very large portion of the whole land with their own with their own money and their own natural resources, and as well as their own personal wealth. All the petroleum money and the oil and gas money that have been taken from the land have been diverted criminally to the west and also to the north to develop those areas by the governments that have those governments that have hijacked the government of the people over the past 65 years now. From every military regime to civilian regime, which have been orchestrated by the Northerners and the West, the Yorubas, the Igbo Hebrews have been sidelined, as well as the other bloodlines of the Igbo Hebrews have been sidelined from taking over government positions that are key to the development of the nation. As a matter of fact, the oil and gas money that have been taken from their land have been used, siphoned to develop the west, the north, and their own enclave in the east have been marginalized, and nothing has been allowed to be happening over there. No industry, no federal presence. All the development you see in the land is done by private Igbo Hebrew men and women, and they have also invested all their own private money in the acres of the west and the north, because being the custodians of the land, which is naturally by default their land, they do not have any reservation to invest to increase the wealth of the people. With the other tribes, never and will never invest in the land of the Igbo Hebrews with their own private money, neither will they invest the money or the proceeds from the oil and gas that is coming from the Igbo Hebrew landmarks. It is very important also for the whole world to know that the Igbo Hebrews have been pushed to the wall for a long time, and they have been very patient. And it's also very important for the whole world to know that every infrastructure, every government government house, every infrastructure, every investment, every industry that have been erected in the northern Nigeria or the western Nigeria is 100% the resources and the oil and gas money of the Igbo Hebrews and their bloodlines. Their private personal wealth also have been invested heavily, over 95% of it, all over the whole country. And it is also important for the whole world to know that In various occasions and various times of history, the Yorubas have destroyed and confiscated the land of the Igbo Hebrews and their properties in the areas of Lagos, Ondo, Akure, and other places, Ibadan and other places. The Hausas and the Fulanis have done the same. Systematically, every now and then, they burn the investments and shops of Igbo Hebrews in the north and confiscate their land and their property. During the Civil War, the Igbo Hebrews were siphoned of all their hard-earned money. All their billions of dollars that was in the bank were taken or stolen by the Yorubas, the Hausas, and the Fulanis. And they were given only 20 pounds to start their new life. As if that wasn't enough, the Yorubas, under the Awolowo regime, got the bad idea to starve the Igbo Hebrew children and their old and young people. Starve them with a serious starvation. Over 6 million Igbo Hebrews were murdered, genocided during the war, and another 3.5 million were killed after the war. And continuously, as we speak, the Igbo Hebrews have been under siege, and they have been threatened and they've been killed and murdered on every day, on a daily basis. This is unacceptable. I want to make it very clear, and we want to make it categorically clear that the land in the West, as the Yorubas may lay claim, is not their aboriginal land. It is the aboriginal land of the Igbo Hebrews. And everything in it is the land of aboriginal Igbo Hebrews. The land in the north, as the Hausa and Fulanis may claim, is the aboriginal Igbo Hebrew land, and everything in it belongs to the Igbo Hebrews. Regardless of the conspiracy against the Igbo Hebrews, they should bear in their mind that they are sitting on the land of the Igbo Hebrews and the rest of their bloodlines. We understand that the man Yakubu Kowa took the land of Lagos, which was 95% built up by the Igbo Hebrews and their bloodlines, with their own personal wealth, the rest of it being the money that comes from the oil and gas from their land. Gowan gave that land to the Yorubas as a gift for helping him in the war against the Igbo Hebrews. That is unacceptable. The land of Lagos, so long as the Igbo Hebrews did not sign off on that land to the Yorubas, as a special status or whatever status they're putting onto it, that does not work. The Yorubas must know that, and know that at the back of their mind and their head, that Lagos is exempted. Every infrastructure in Lagos, from top to down, was built by the Igbo Hebrews, by the resources that came from their land and the rest of their bloodlines. And the Yorubas must categorically step out and push back from Lagos. They have in recent times been pushing out the Igbo Hebrews, destroying their properties with the conspiracy which they and the Fulanis and the Hausas have been teaming up for a long time. They must stop that, because we will not allow that to happen, regardless, for this generation or the next generation. And if the Yorubas believe or think they should have a claim on Lagos as their land or their whatever, even if they decide to start their own country, then they should be ready to pay up for that land and the infrastructure that have been invested on it. total of $10,000 trillion. I repeat, $10,000 trillion. The Yorubas must have to pay that to the Igbo Hebrews and the Biafran people, in order that if they want to have a total claim on Lagos, and we will hands off Lagos for them. It is that simple. Let me talk about the land in Abuja. The land in Abuja, the Hausas and the Fulanis, they should also understand that they cannot put a claim on that land should we, by any chance, divide the country. That land was a desert, and it was developed 100% by the oil and gas money from the Igbo Hebrew and the bloodline. That it was developed by the Baos, the Igbo Hebrews and their bloodlines, being the Jaws or the Ibibios and the rest of them. It was the money from the land that built Abuja 100%. That conspiracy of siphoning all the funds on the oil and gas money from the Igbo Hebrew land to build the north, in order that the Hausas and Fulanis will take over or to have a claim on all those properties, is a wish-wash, and it's not acceptable. All those bags of tricks cannot be sustainable. The land in Abuja and everything that's in it belongs to the Igbo Hebrews and his bloodlines, until if the Hausa and the Fulani think they want to take over Abuja, fine, then they have to pay up. They have to pay up whatever we demand, and then we can sign off on Abuja. They want to pay off, they want to take off Abuja, they should pay us $800,000 trillion. And I repeat, $800,000 trillion. You know what that means? We pay up, and then we can sign up on Abuja. You cannot continue to rob Peter to pay Paul, and you cannot continue to steal from one and so forth, someone else to enrich yourself. And then you turn around, and the person you'll be stealing from, you make him a scapegoat, and at the same time you try to run around and conspire and murder him, and think that is smart. The world is watching. The Hausas and the Fulanis have, for a long time, with their bag of tricks, have siphoned trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions of trillions of dollars from our land, from our oil and gas money, looted all our mud, built the best roads and the best infrastructures in the enclave, all but the master plan and grand plan of taking ownership. While the Igbo Hebrews and the rest of their bloodline, the Jaws, the Aquarius, the Bibios, the Ogonis, the Anan people, the Asian, the Shekiris, the Yorubas, the rest of them should all stay in abject poverty and in deteriorating conditions and economies. That is unacceptable. It is very important, and I have to make this declaration, that all Igbo Hebrews, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your economic status, regardless of whatever, wherever you find yourself, to be straightforward and keep your head high. And do not forget that you are the aboriginal of the land. And you should not be afraid of anyone, regardless of his tribe, that tries to intimidate you on that land. Because you are the aboriginal, the most ancient that ever lived on the land before everybody else came onto the land. You are the aboriginal, and you are the custodian of the entire land, regardless of where that land is, in that vicinity. Be it in the north, be it in the west, be it in the south, be it in the East. It is very important for the Igbo Hebrews to know that you are the chosen ones to be the custodian of Africa, regardless of the reactivation of Biafra, which is the ultimate and the ordained doctrine of Elohim for the complete emancipation of Africa, economically and politically. The Igbo Hebrews have been given the pattern to take the control and the leadership to lead Africa out of its economic stagnation, that Africa might become the star of the world, that African children all over the world, all over the whole world, might come back to the land, the promised land, and inherit it, and flourish in it, and be happy, because that is the commandment and the direction of Elohim. Every child, every man and woman born of African descent, regardless of where he is in the rest of the world, North America, South America, in Europe, East and West, in the former Soviet Union, whatever, you all have been commanded to come back home and inherit the promised land under the guardianship and the direction of the Biafran command. And I want to make it very clear that every Igbo Hebrew, regardless of where you are all over the world, you are by default a Biafran. The land of Biafra is your land, and it is the land that has been given the authority to lead the rest of Africa. The rest of the other churches in Africa must stand behind Biafra if they want to get the economic emancipation that Elohim has promised for them. It is very important that if you are an Igbo Hebrew, if you are an Isham, Urobo, if you are an Ijaw man or woman, if you are an Anam, Ibibio, Efik, Igala, Idoma, Ogoni, and the rest of all the bloodlines of the Igbo Hebrews, you are by default a Biafran, and you should rally around the leadership of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, under the leadership of the Afara Prince, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It is very important that the Igbo Hebrews will restore Biafra under one command, regardless of your affiliation to any other activists or any other restoration group. Elohim has ordered that everyone stands under one command. Biafra will be, has to be a country, a nation of one God, one people, one faith, and one destiny. That is to say that Biafra, as a nation, the seat and the house of Elohim, we stand under one God, and not two gods, and not three gods, and not four. In conclusion to that, that means every Biafran, every man or woman under that banner, regardless of what religion you are practicing right now, you must refrain and you must convert to Elohim, the true God, under one God. If you are a Biafran, you are currently an Islamic man or woman, you must reconvert yourself, reconvert your family to worship one God, Elohim. under the Judeo-Christian heritage. That's who we are. We are Judeo-Christians. We came from Judah. We are the sons of Abraham. Every religion that has been against the Judeo-Christians or been against Abraham and his children must not be tolerated in the land of Biafra. Because Biafra is going to be the seat of God, the one God, the God of Abraham. Regardless, if you are a Biafran and you are an idol worshipper, remember you cannot do that anymore. You must drop that idol worshiping and you must worship one God, Elohim. That is his command, and not my command or anybody's command. It is very important that we understand that. Biafra is to be a seat of God, the home of Elohim, where he had promised his children to build him a temple. And we must understand that Elohim is a jealous God. One God, one nation, one family, one people, one belief, and one religion. Every religion or every faith that has divided us must be scrapped away by the Biafrans as an example for the rest of Africa to understand that one nation, one people, one God leads to the best economic and political prosperity ever on the planet. It's very important that we make it very clear to the Muslim North that for over the years they have been given a chance to change and to strike for good. But apparently they have been showing that they have never changed, that they will never change. Their continuous and passionate killing and destruction of the Christian lives and the other people of Africa is not acceptable. It is very, very unfortunate and very, very stupid that the Africans have taken the strength and with unpromising advantage to them to be the foot soldiers of the Islamic world of the Arabs, killing their own fellow Africans to make a stand and make an expansion for Islam for the Arabs who don't even love them. Think about it. The Arabs, with all the big money they have in the backyards, never invest in Africa, never invest in the children of Africa. All the young men and women who are pulling their asses and working so hard to expand Islam and jihad on every nook corner of Africa for the Arabs never get paid for all their hard work. But it's unfortunate that they are so stupid and ignorant that they take the work of the enemy, work of the devil, against their own fellow Africans. The Arabs and the Saudis run around the whole world in their private jets, living in the best hotels with the big portfolios of money, while the rest of the young African chaps are running around, beheading people, killing Christians in the name of jihad to expand Islam for the Arabs. But the Arabs will turn around, don't invest in these young chaps. All they do is bring their big money to build more mosques and more Islamic schools for them. That is unacceptable. And it is high time the young Africans understand that they have been fooled and been shortchanged for so long. And they will continue to be shortchanged if they don't change their behavior. Of recent, we have heard of, I've got intelligence of all the beheadings, the killings of Christians, and which has continued for a long time now, and also the occupation of the land of the Igbo Hebrews by the Fulanis, who have the ulterior motive of Islamizing the whole of the Igbo Hebrews and the Christian nations of Biafra. That is unacceptable. And we are telling the Fulanis and the rest of the Hausa and the people who are supporting them or sponsoring them to stand down and withdraw. They must stand down and withdraw and push back. It is very important for them to know that you do not have any right to grab the land of the people without their absolute signature. And also, I want to make very, very clear to anyone among the Igbo Hebrews, both the local chieftaincies or local tribesmen, that have given away the land of the people without the signature of the aboriginal people or families that own those lands, that you have done something illegal and you will be prosecuted at any time in the future. My name is Abara Umenge, ex-American soldier. And I'm using this opportunity to call on all ex-American Igbo Hebrew soldiers all over the world, and those current in the US Army or those current in any other armed forces of the world, to rally around and come to the support of the Igbo Hebrews, that we must flush out all the Fulanis and who are all the intruders, those who have invaded the land of the Igbo Hebrews in the southeast. It is very important that Nigeria people must push back and must not ignite another war against the Igbo Hebrews, because if they do this time, it is going to be very, very, very severe. We will not relent and allow you to continue to kill the Christians, even those in the north, the Christians of southern Kaduna and Zaria, and the other Christians in the north must all come and rally around the Biafrans to save them, because that's the only people who will save you from the Islamic north. Because if the Biafrans are gone, the Islamic north, they will engulf you and force you into Islam by fire or by force. But this is an opportunity for you to rally around the Igbo Hebrews, the IPOB government, Nnamdi Kanu, and the rest of the people who are calling for your freedom. You rally around about them so that they can protect you. It's that simple. Be a wise man or a wise woman now. And if you are a Christian northerner, come to the public and make an open confession and pledge your allegiance to the Biafran people so that they can defend you and protect you from total Islamization. I'm also calling on all the Nigerian politicians, both past and present, to return all and every looted money that you have stolen from the Igbo Hebrews and the Biafrans over the years. All the oil and gas money you've been stealing and been looting and stacking away, please, it is high time you return that money to the people that own the money and the land. It does not matter how long it's going to take, you will be prosecuted. The sins of my father will be enacted under the laws of the Biafrans. And that law will go against every man and woman that have stolen for the coffers of the government, under whichever regime, be the military or the civilian regime. You will pay back, and your children and grandchildren will pay back. And that law will also be enacted in the rest of Africa. The sanitization of Africa must begin with Biafra. I'm calling on all the African tribes all over the world, regardless of whichever country you come from Africa, to give you 100% support for Biafra. Biafra will save you. Biafra will reignite Africa's economic development on a very tidal wave. So it is, and so it should be. Africa must not be dependent on the economies of the other worlds. Regardless that Africa has supplied to the whole world all the basic infrastructures, all the basic minerals they need to build their nations, and they have left Africa with little or nothing. Africa has supplied all this manpower, both young and old. Many have died while building other parts of the world, be it America, built in South America, built the rest of Europe. They built everything they had to build their nation was taken from Africa. Biafra is the only solution, and we will go after all these nations and we'll give them the bill of all they have taken from Africa for them to pay us back or come and rebuild Africa. The same way Africa has built their nations, we will ask them to come back and give us a check to build Africa. And we also will have to ask them to send all their manpower, as we did, to come to Africa and build Africa. We've been searching for a long time, and Biafra is the only solution. We understand too, for over decades, the French, the British, and the rest of them have been economically siphoning Africa funds, which we all know, like the French currently have been siphoning all the funds from Africa, with all their former colonial nations, stacking all their money in France and using their money to develop France, they give all their money to their business people on loans and pick up all the interest to themselves, and all that is African money. At some time, Biafra will ask France, the French government, to refund everything they have taken from all those African nations so that they can rebuild themselves and form a good economy. Regardless of how much they try to stop Biafra, we will prevail. But we call on the rest of the African nations to lay their support to IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, and the rest of the Biafran freedom fighters to start and ignite that African revolution and that African total economic emancipation, because we cannot have everything and we still remain poor. That is unacceptable. We cannot be the land of milk and honey, the promised land that Elohim gave us, and we the children are in abject poverty and squalor, while the rest of the world are getting fat from us. Because we allow that, because our bad governments in the past allow that, or the present governments of African states allow that, then you must join Biafra to stop and unravel this mistreatment and cheating of the African people, either by their own people and the foreigners. It is very important that moving forward, Biafra is the only solution for the rest of the African sub-region. All Africans in the Caribbean, all men and women of African descent all over the world, we must bring you home. Biafra will bring you home. Biafra must bring you home. That is the command from Elohim. You must support Biafra to take its stand and take its independence to start the work. I'll talk to you folks some other time, very soon. My name again is Abara Umenge, ex-American soldier. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless Biafra. God bless Africa and his people. Thank you.